Hi guys, I'm in such a fantastic mood since I just finished my almost 1 hour long rambling, which I am uploading right now by the way, that I thought I would just keep the flow going and make another video. This today would be the review of the Sony Xperia Tablet Z4. Now, why would I review a device that has been on the market for so long? First of all, I can. Second of all, back when it was released, I just didn't have the proper contacts, and when I had them, I just completely forgot about this device, even though I was always interested in this device because it seemed like a really good tablet. But now I have the Z5 for a re-review here and the Z3 Plus, and I thought I would just add that one to the bunch as well. Now, I wanted to see if this one is a great competitor to the iPad Air 2, maybe to the Tab S2 from Samsung, and also the MediaPad M2 10.0. So that's why we just start off with the overview now. Design and build quality. 6.1 millimeters. This is impressive as hell. A weight of 384 grams, which makes it the lightweightest or most lightweight tablet that I've ever seen in this size range. So really great job done. I'm not maybe so super happy with the button placement because quite many accidental hits, but besides they're maybe not that great. Texture on the back, this device feels amazing, really well built, so great job done here after all. In terms of the display, we have a QHD display, so quite a high resolution on a 10-inch device, but overall I'm just not super happy, especially if we watch a lot of movies, because those just didn't seem quite as sharp as I expected them to be. If you are though in the browser and things like that, then everything is sharp, everything is clean, and the colors are well done, and it's only maybe the IPS glow that prevents it from being a really great display after all. In terms of the sound, we have front-facing stereo speakers, and they should sound great, but maybe due to the thinness of the device, it just doesn't sound that great after all, because the maximum volume is okay, I would say slightly above average, but its sound is very flat, very shallow, and a little bit tinny. It still is good enough, quite okay, but it can't compete with the best ones out there just after that. So in terms of performance, we have the Snapdragon 810 that is supposed to be a hothead, and in this case we don't have an issue because the device is big enough to dissipate the heat quite easily, and the performance then is absolutely fine. Maybe not the very best one, maybe due to the QHD resolution it struggles a little bit because it just doesn't seem super fast, super responsive. It is quite snappy, but the overall flow of the device, the smoothness, seemed a little bit bubbled, maybe by the resolution. Gaming performance, pretty much the same. It does perform really well, does perform quite consistent, not many frame drops, but in the end it just doesn't perform on the highest flagship level that I expected it to be with the Snapdragon 810 that usually is a great performer. Now in terms of battery life, also just slightly above average with about 6 hours of screen on time. I've seen better ones, but it is still totally fine. In terms of software, Sony does a great job. It is a clean, minimalistic, but still capable software, gets the job done just fine. No complaints here at all. So I would say if you are still interested or not, you can either jump now to the conclusion or stay with me and watch the detailed part. Okay, let's start off with the first thing, the design and build quality. First, a size comparison with the iPad Air 2. And here we can see it is almost the same height, not too big of a difference. It is a little bit smaller. Of course, it is wider due to the 16:10 ratio, which is to be, expected. And in terms of thickness, it is pretty much exactly the same, both say 6.1, and I get it, but this one feels a lot lighter with 384 grams. They did a great job. In terms of the back material, I don't like the texture so much because this feels like a tomato, or I mean a potato. Just doesn't feel that nice to the hand. You can get used to it after a few days, it is okay, but still. What do we have in terms of ports? Here we have, not quite sure, maybe a microphone or something like that. Here we have a flap for the SD card. Here we have the headphone jack. On the left side we have the volume rocker and the power button, which I'm not a big fan of because so many times I just turned on and off the device accidentally or the volume up. So this is not a great placement. It should have been a little bit higher and things would have been okay. On the bottom we don't see anything, and on the right side we see the USB port, so all is fine here. So overall this device still feels really nice in the hand. Maybe not that much in terms of texture, but super thin, super lightweight. The bezels, as you can see, aren't the smallest ones, but I think it makes up for it in terms of thinness and lightweight, so you have to really grip onto it. So it's okay, so it's absolutely fine. Now let's check the display, and I can already tell you that I'm not super impressed by it for a few reasons. First of all, let's go back and check a few things. Resolution, I said it already, QHD, and if you just check here the sharpness of the screen, it is absolutely there. It is super sharp, but once you watch a video, it just doesn't deliver the same sharpness. Everything seems a little bit more blurry for some reason. The blacks, now I will turn off the light and maybe you can see this here, the IPS glow is strong. As you can see this here, black turns into a white, and this is exactly as you can see here, that obvious in real life. If you have the lights on, everything is okay and the blacks are okay, definitely not super deep, but get the job done. But once you are in a dark environment, you will see the glow definitely. White, absolutely fine, no complaints here at all, and you still have the white control, the white balance control in the settings, so all good here. Colors are quite good, they are vibrant, they are saturated well, quite natural, but I also noticed that if you are in a brightness of below maybe 70%, everything seems a little bit dull, especially the white seems more like a gray. So we'll definitely have to use a little bit more brightness, and I actually stayed at around 70% of brightness. Everything below that just seemed very dull, and especially in movies you notice this even more so. So I'm not super happy with the display. For some reason the quality maybe just isn't there. There is some IPS glow, the black just isn't that great, and it is the dullness. So that's my main complaint. Maybe they should have sticked with 1080p, would have maybe been the smarter solution. Okay, so now let's check the sound. Okay, I don't really expect you to block them ever because the position is quite okay. I never did in normal use, but I am just not really impressed by the sound because the maximum volume at first sounds okay, and if you are playing games, you are a little bit closer to it, then it sounds okay. But the sound in general, from a normal viewing distance, if I watch TV shows and YouTube and so, felt quite flat, quite shallow and quite thin. It just didn't have the rich sound that I would have wanted to see from a device like this. Maybe it's because the device is so thin, but they did a great job with putting the speakers on the front, but the sound balance just is off. And I've noticed this on pretty much all the Sony devices. They need to put a more richer sound in these devices to convince me. It is okay, it is totally fine, but for example, just something like the MediaPad M2 10.0 from Huawei makes such a fantastic job, way better than this one. And even the iPad with just one speaker on the sides makes a better job. Okay, but now let's go to the performance and check what we've got here. The Snapdragon 810 in normal use does a fine job. As you can see here, scrolling within the browser is absolutely fine, super smooth, and usually it also is quite responsive. As you can see, app loading times are quite okay. As you can also see though, the glare on this device is extreme. It is really shiny. That is something that I am a little bit sorry about, but I can't really do just much about that. But as you can see, the app loading times in general are absolutely fine. My internet is bugging a little bit since I'm uploading something, but believe me, everything is strong. If we check Google+, here it struggles a little bit more because of 3 columns. 3 columns is just a little bit heavy. It still works, but you can see definitely it will struggle. And using this device in portrait just feels a little bit awkward because of the quite white design of the device, but 2 columns works definitely better, but feels just wrong in my opinion. So overall performance is absolutely fine, but not great. Maybe due to the QHD resolution, I expected it not to bog down that much. With 1080p, I think it would have definitely performed a lot better, but it's still totally fine. In terms of the heat, the only point where it got a little bit warm was here, up to maybe 40 degrees, but it didn't throttle in my opinion at all. And the gaming performance was absolutely fine, but also not groundbreaking, maybe also due to the QHD resolution, which I am bashing a little bit too much maybe, but games played fine, quite smooth, not maybe the highest frame rates, but quite consistent after all, so not really a big issue. Now about the battery. A full charge takes slightly above 4 hours, which is totally in line with pretty much all the other tablets, and the battery life is at around, I would say, in harder, heavier use with some gaming and so on, at around 5.5 hours of screen on time to maybe more normal casual use to maybe 6 hours of screen on time. This is what I got over the course of 1 or 2 days, so okay, but definitely can't compete with the very best ones that achieve maybe 8 or 9 hours these days. So it is a little bit behind. Software, I don't really think I have to talk too much about that, because if you know stock Android, you pretty much know what you can expect. You have the quick toggles here, all good here. It's just slightly themed here in the settings menu, and here we have a few like quick apps that pop up that I find to be quite useless and I really wouldn't use them. We have a close all button and the rest is pretty much stock Android. We have already Marshmallow and those does a good job, so the standby drain was absolutely fine and overall it's quite capable. We have a few additions, like as I already told you the white balance control here. We have a few sound additions, like here some audio settings, but not really too much after all. So I'm pretty much done with the detailed part, so let's get to the conclusion then. This device 1 year ago maybe was a really good one, but now, especially since it is still so expensive, just can't compete. The value just isn't there. It is a really good device, but sometimes good just isn't good enough. If I would have to recommend you a 10-incher, it would be either the iPad Air 2, if you want a really great all-rounder, if you want a amazing but still a little bit less natural but therefore still very impressive screen with great blacks, go for the Tab S2. And if you want a really great media device with a really great 1080p display that is really well done for videos and watching TV shows and all that, with a great sound, go check the Huawei MediaPad M2 10.0 that I also reviewed, because these just offer a little bit more for what you maybe would want them to, because the Tab S2 is a great all-rounder for apps and video. This one is more for video because of the landscape ratio. Apps look a little bit weird in the 10.9 ratio and it just doesn't deliver the best overall experience. The battery life isn't there. It is pretty much the highlight here, the thinness, the lightweightness, that is done great. But it costs at around 450 euro here on sale. Usually it's even higher, so I think the value just is a little bit extraordinarily bad. It's just too expensive. It is a nice device and it gets the job done, and it's a definitely nice tablet, but like I said, if you want a great media consumption device, go for something like the MediaPad M2 10.0, which has a way better sound, way better display, even though just 1080p, and the performance is actually pretty much on the same level. If you want a nicer all-around device with the better aspect ratio, if you consume any apps and don't watch that much TV shows and videos because you will have the black bars, go for the Tab S2 or the iPad Air 2. That's pretty much all I can say. This device is nice, but way too pricey, and about 1 year after its release, just a little bit back in time. It just can't quite keep up with the very best ones. How it compared maybe 1 year before, I can't say so much since I just have it now, but overall I am a little bit disappointed because it is super light and super weight, but the display isn't the best, the sound isn't the best, the performance isn't the best, the battery life is just above average. So it's pretty much just slightly above average in all aspects, which is a little bit disappointing because it is, once again, super expensive. And that is pretty much all I have to say. Yeah. If anything else to say, leave them down in the comments. If any questions, any bashing, I completely get that. I expected a lot more from this device as well, but my expectations didn't quite get successfully fulfilled. Yeah, that's it. If you still like this video, thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe to the channel, and I still wish you a very nice day. Until next time, bye.